Welcome to the Harmony and Healing Project, where we bring you strategies and tools that teenagers and their parents can use to improve their mental health, along with powerful, emotive music that will also enhance and improve your mental health. So, join in, share with the teenager, and enjoy. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Harmony and Healing Project. This is episode 3, and I'm going to start us off by sharing a song called Carry You. I wrote this song at a very difficult time in my life. We had just found out that we lost a dear cousin. She became really unwell and had passed away. And she left 2 young kids and a husband. And my heart was breaking. Sometimes things happen in life and you can't figure out why. And I tried to make sense of it. And I tried to think about what a message could be to me around a situation like this. And I was asking myself, well, if my higher power was speaking to me about this, what would that sound like? And that's how this song came about. When I think about it, it brings comfort to me. And if you're going through something, or you know someone that may be going through something and you just can't figure out why, this song may bring comfort to you, and I hope it does. After that, we're going to hear from David Thorne, and I got to interview him about lots of mental health strategies and how you can start to doubt your limiting beliefs. So we had a really great conversation, such a rich one. I hope that you get lots of tools that you can take with you to help yourself and to help your teenager. So let's get started.
Hush, child, I know your heart is breaking. You have a lot of questions and you're wondering why. But this did not come to leave you broken. I'll put the pieces back even stronger than before. Trust the words that I gave to you so long ago. Oh, if you'll only trust me, lean on my promises, I'll carry you through this. Breathe, child, trust the words that you gave to me so long ago. Oh, I will trust you. Lean on your promises. You carry me through this.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Mental Health Skills for Teenagers. I'm Ebiogini, your host, and this is with me today is Dave Thorne, the Stigma Coach. We are going to chat about mental health skills that teenagers and young adults, and in fact anyone, can use to manage their mental health. So they keep going regardless of whatever life throws their way, and they have the kind of life that they want. Now, I'm a pediatrician, and part of my work is working with teenagers and managing, helping them feel better with whatever brought them into the hospital. This is something that I see a lot. So I've decided to do this to create some conversation, some movement, um, some awareness that mental health is becoming a pandemic, but also to actually start thinking about the different things that we can do in the community. Because I believe that a lot of the presentations that we see are actually a combination of missed opportunities in the community, right? So I'm going to open this up by just asking Dave here to just introduce himself and tell us about what he does.
Thanks, Abby. So, my name's Dave, and I'm the Stigma Coach. I help people who've been labelled by society to find their voice and celebrate their differences. Whether that's a teenager who's suffering from mental health difficulties, whether that's someone like myself who has a health condition called cystic fibrosis, who's just used to being at home, watching daytime TV, not really feeling any value in themselves. I help you find your voice. I help you find your values, rebuild yourself from the ground up, and go from surviving to thriving.
Wow, I love that so much. You help people find their value so they can go from surviving to thriving. What I find fascinating about this is that you you work with patients, or you work with people that have a genuine reason to be low and moody, and not really want to do much, because cystic fibrosis is a lifelong illness that's for many years reduced life expectancy of many people. And the fact that you get to work with them and still help them thrive, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when I was born back in 1983, life expectancy for CF, depending on where you were in the world, ranged from 2 to 9. And I always used 2 for myself because of how seriously ill I was. I mean, mum makes no bones of the fact that they nearly lost me several times between 0 and 2. And I think that helped because of how much of our learning is done between the years of 0 and 7, where how we identify as an individual. So much of our self is developed in that time. I kind of learned a lot of the negative lessons very early on, not through anyone's fault, but it's very difficult when you are being told constantly, this child is potentially going to die by the age of 2. Give him as good a life as he can have, and he gets as long as he gets. You're going to end up with a very unfortunate mental health space. This was also the 1980s, and any teenager today, yeah, that's prehistoric times, we get this. But anyone who was around them will realize it was a very, very different space. We didn't think about mental health in the same way as we did now. It wasn't a priority for almost anyone. Care, particularly within the UK, it was stigmatized massively, and that is partly where stigma comes from in the Stigma Coach, is the stigma that people with chronic health conditions used to have for having mental health difficulties. Words like the asylum, the loony bin, it had really, really negative connotations. And that filtered through to all areas of health. People who were wheelchair based were not expected to be able to be valuable contributors to society. That's massively changed, and that's massively great. But what hasn't necessarily changed is the general public's perception of long-term illness, particularly chronic illness that are invisible. Ones like cystic fibrosis, cancer's another one, particularly if it's early stages and isn't necessarily visible through chemo and things like that. Unless someone has a particularly visible illness, a particularly visible way of saying, look, this person's disabled or this person is chronically ill, society just seems to think, no, they don't have a problem. They're lazy. And that is not the case. And I've gone through a number of well, I joke lifetimes, because at 2, I effectively started my second life because I wasn't supposed to get there. So I joke I'm now in my 21st life. But actually, it gives me a great insight, because each time I've gone through this, I've seen lots of different things. I've been able to try lots of different things. And particularly since 2016, when I was facing the transplant list for the first time, it got me thinking, actually, what have I done to keep myself where I am, and what can I do to improve myself? And that's where I started to develop the concept that became the Stigma Coach and my Stigma Coaching.
Wow.
I took a look at the slightly out there at the time bro attitude of just do it, just hustle. It didn't suit me, but actually there were a number of things I could take from that. Use it or lose it being one of them. I don't feel like going for a walk today. Well, actually, how long am I going to be able to go for a walk? How long will my lung function allow me to do this? And whilst that's fairly specific to people with lung conditions, actually it goes beyond that, because if you're a teenager with mental health, challenges that mean they don't want to go outside, it's not so much a case that you can't go for a walk because you can't physically walk. You can't because you end up trapped inside yourself. I always like to use the phrase, people are just doing the best with the tools that they have. And that's very true. And a large part of the way I work with people is I like to show people that actually, if doing the best that you can with the tools that you have means your biggest achievement today was rolling over in bed, that's a huge thing. If it was getting out and making it to the bathroom 3 times instead of 2, or going to the lounge and sitting down and watching Netflix in there instead of from your bed, those are massive steps. I'm not trying to say we should cheer everybody on and, say, oh, you're the equivalent of winning gold at the Olympics because you got out of bed. I don't like to treat people with kid gloves like that, but I do like to celebrate the successes where there is a genuine reason for it, particularly in the grounds of disabilities, chronic health, neurodiversity, and mental health.
I think it's inspiring, the fact that you went through that transformation yourself, because we're talking about teens here, and struggles that they may be going through. Some of the stories I do hear are heartbreaking. People who've actually gone through trauma, people who've actually been through stuff. But I think that's where perseverance comes in, because just the way you said, how long are you gonna have the ability to go out for a walk? Well, for them, it's they're still alive, they're still here, they're still breathing. Some people are not. So
Completely.
regardless of all they've been through, there is still a life to live. And if they choose to, they can go on to still have an amazing life. They can still go on to thrive. And it's like saying, you know, in your face
Yeah.
to whoever or whatever brought this trauma on them. You know what I mean? It's like
No,
saying,
I completely get what you're saying. I think I'm not going to use my normal phrasing here because it's slightly bluer language, but I do have a very to heck with you. I'm doing it anyway kind of attitude. I have that use it or lose it attitude, and I've had that pretty much my whole life. However, that works both ways. That can work with the to heck with you. I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to go out. I don't care. Like I am the kind of person that has gone out and probably shouldn't have. I went to London for work for a week a couple of times when I was much younger, and by the Friday I was seriously, seriously ill, and they said, "How the hell did you even get back to the hospital, let alone survive getting to London, round the London Underground, etc." Um, you know, there's that kind of to heck with you, I'm doing it anyway, whether you should or shouldn't. But there's also the actually to heck with you, I'm going to stay in bed today. And again, that works both ways. Yes, I need my mental health day, duvet day, however you choose to phrase it. But there's also that actually I really cannot be bothered. I do not want to do this. I do not want to go on. That's a real thought for a lot of people. And
mm,
there's a series of techniques that I like to use with people when they're heading towards that level of not wanting to do something. And we just look at simple things like you said yourself a little bit ago, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing. Now, there will be the people that say, so what? I don't want to. But actually, most people will see that actually just getting to this point is an exercise in survival that you
mm,
have been winning. And technically, you are winning that battle until the moment you take your last breath.
yes,
And
yes.
technically, you've won the game when you take that last breath because the aim was to get to your last breath.
Hmm. Yes. Wow. So essentially, you were saying that your message to people is that until you get to that last breath, your life is yours and you have the power to do with it whatever you will.
Exactly. Whether you want to go down the route like me of helping others in my situation or helping people younger than you, teenagers, with their situation, helping people older than you who are struggling to adapt because they're 3 chapters behind where you are. It doesn't matter. Whether you
Mm,
decide that actually you just want to keep going with what you're doing and what you've got because that's good enough for you. It's your choice.
mm,
Your ability to say, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want more. No, I don't want more. I'm happy with this. That is all entirely your choice. What I am doing is I am giving you a set of tools that will allow you to work out which of these desires are you, which of these desires are embedded within you because of your experiences. And where there's a mismatch, we help reframe it. So show it you in a different light. Look at what it is you needed at that moment that happened. So, for example, with me, when I was somewhere around 2.5, 3, I was knocked down by, to me, a very big black Labrador. I've always been on the short side. I mean, I'm 5'3" or 161 centimeters if you prefer metric. So I was always on the short side, and this dog was bigger than me. The dog was genuinely just being friendly. But that framed in my mind dogs, particularly big black dogs, are not friendly. And for many years, I did not want to go near dogs of any size. Eventually, I taught myself to go near small dogs. And now I'm okay with most dogs, slight exception for big chocolate labs, some black labs that actually try to jump up at me, but that's a very rare thing. And when that gets to the point that I need to deal with it on a regular basis, I will resolve the problem in my own mind. But I have chosen to deal with those problems. I have reframed it. I looked at what I needed in that moment, and I gave myself permission to choose again, to feel what I needed to feel, and accept it. I bet you've cut out. Excuse me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You must have caught the volume button or something.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It's okay. Start now, get perfect later, as Rob would say.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first tool or skill of the day,
Yeah.
reframing.
Correct.
Do you want to go ahead and just explain what you mean by that term, reframing?
Yeah. So in the example I've just given, I reframed that particularly big chocolate labs, but dogs. The image was they were unfriendly, they were scary, they were bigger than me, and they were going to knock me flying. That is obviously a very traumatic thing for a 2.5-ish-year-old or a toddler to feel. And that stuck with me. Eventually, early 20s, so about 20 years ago, I needed to reframe that because I'd got a lot of friends who'd got dogs, and my partner at the time had a dog. A small dog, but had a dog. I had to reframe it. I didn't know that was what I was doing at the time, but I now know it's called a reframe. And I started with just being in the presence of their little dog. It was a Scottie, I can't remember. And just saying, actually, this is okay. This dog is not trying to knock me down. It can't knock me down. I'm bigger than it. And that started the reframe process because it started me rewiring my brain thoughts from this dog is going to knock me down to this dog can't knock me down. It's a very simple example, and there's a lot more complexities behind it. But as a starting point, that is one of the most powerful things you can do. So if you are of the mindset that you are scared to go outside because the world is against you, you need to reframe that. And the starting point is probably not so much, I am going outside, but the starting point is the bit that you can deal with more easily, which is the world is against me. Because actually, just ask yourself the question, is the world against me? All 8 billion people? How can that be true? I've not met all 8 billion people. In fact, I barely know 1,000 people. Now, I'm not going to do public maths and try and work out what 1,000 of 8 billion is, but it ain't a lot. You know, it's sub levels of a percent.
Yes.
And therefore, nobody is against you.
I love this so much. Essentially, what can you do to make yourself doubt your belief? What is that one thing? If there's
Exactly.
someone you can find in the room that is for you, one person, because if you can find one person in the room that is for you and is not against you,
But also,
then
looking at the percentages game there again. I mean, I'm quite a logical person. I'm
Mm.
very empathetic. I'm able to do my job incredibly well. But by nature and by nurture, because I grew up in hospitals, I'm a very logical person. 1 of 1,000 is 0.1%.
Mm.
That is already more people that are for you than can possibly be against you.
Wow.
And if
Wow.
you've got smaller circles, it just keeps improving and improving and improving.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So, number one, what's this thought that's keeping you down, that's keeping you low, and can you reframe it? What can you do to reframe it? Ask yourself, is that really true? Can you find one thing that makes it not true? And that's the journey of reframing.
And it leads nicely onto my second tip, which I give to 99% of my clients and my patients: the evidence bag. The evidence bag is maybe a physical bag. Some people do actually make a physical bag to put evidence in. Maybe it's a box, a notice board, a pin board. Heck, just a folder on your phone or your desktop with images, physical things that show something is possible, can demonstrate something that you thought is not true, but it is evidence that your reframing has or is working. So, if you are agoraphobic, so afraid to go outside, and you manage it, even if it's only stick your head out of the window and someone, a partner, a loved one, whatever, takes a photo of it, put that in your evidence bag. That
Yes.
shows you that you are able to stick your head out of the window. That's a starting point. When you
Mm.
eventually get to the point that you can put your whole body in a back garden or an entrance foyer if you live in a flat block or whatever, again, get some evidence of it. Even if it's you taking a photo of the fact that you're at the end of the corridor and you're taking a shot of your front door, that's evidence that you went out. If it's evidence of people not liking you, that you're wanting evidence that people do, that photo of whoever it is who's supporting you, get a photo with them. Maybe they're hugging you, maybe they're congratulating you, it doesn't matter. Something that shows you that they are supporting you. It could be as simple as passing you a cup of tea.
Hmm.
It can be a memory. It doesn't even have to be a physical thing, because sometimes it's not. If you're feeling loved, that's not necessarily a physical thing. That's a purely emotional thing. But remember that. And one of my tips later on, I can also show you how to really remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Start collecting evidence of the opposite of the thought that's keeping you down.
Exactly.
I love it. I
Or
love it.
proof that, or proof that you are working towards it. Because let's face
Mm.
it, with me and dogs, it took a while. But I started small. I worked my way up. Someone who I've worked with fairly recently had a phobia of clowns. They are now completely over that. In fact, they would describe one of their best friends who has a job of a clown. It's one of their best friends now.
Wow.
They've got evidence of that. They
Mm.
reframed it in their mind. Now,
Beautiful.
I'm not
Beautiful.
suggesting people try and deal with phobias themselves on their own. There's techniques that people like myself can help you with to deal with that. But it's an example of how powerful this can be.
Mm. Yes. Yes. Wow. Wow. And this is the thing. This is literally given tools that people can use in their own homes. It's a starting point, and the hope is that it reduces the percentage of people that then need more professional intervention. However,
Exactly.
there are still going to be people that will need more help.
Always.
So, do what you can at home with your parents, with friends, do what you can. But if you still need that professional help, go for it.
Exactly.
But I mean, even the tools that we talk about are still things that you are going to have to do when you're getting professional help. You still have to apply it, you still have to engage. So all of this is still relevant regardless.
Completely.
Mm.
Especially when it's around communicating. Because actually, a large part of a lot of mental health problems, whether it's physical chemical imbalances, whether it's imbalances as a result of chemotherapy, that there's been an outside intervention, medical or otherwise, that has caused this imbalance, or whether it's just something is out of whack within you on this particular day. We all have days where we feel really, really low and wonder, what's the point in today? We all have those days where we're super, super high and everything seems to be going right. Does that mean we're all bipolar? No. Does that mean we've all got a problem? No. That's normal emotions.
Yeah.
The challenge is when something external or internal to yourself knocks that out on a longer term process. And I genuinely believe that communication is at the heart of getting over that. Whether it's what caused the problem in the first place, i.e. poor communication between you and somebody else, or deliberately poor bullying, and people who end up with mental health problems because of bullying, whether it's because of a physical condition like I had. When I was bullied at school, it was predominantly because people didn't understand. And had I been able to make them understand things better, hopefully things would have been better for me. I will obviously never know. But I guarantee you, had they understood better, not all of them would have bothered. And that would have made my life better.
Yeah.
Communication is at the heart of 99.9% of what we do as human beings. Because whether you look at it being communication as verbal, so you can hear my words, I'm speaking to you, that is verbal communication. Whether it's my tone, the pace of my voice, I'm talking really fast like this and sounding really excited, aren't I? You can tell I'm excited about something. If I'm sort of slightly down and not really talking particularly loudly, almost mumbling, you'd think I'm upset about something. There are people who can be really, really excited, but because of their challenges around their mental health, they still sound like they're down like this. I'm loving being on this podcast, but from the tone of my voice, you couldn't tell. And there are people that are like that all of the time. If they can learn to communicate better, reframe a lot of the negative thoughts, a good percentage of their problems may go away. And for some people, that will be enough to keep them out of needing true medical intervention.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. Do you have one more to share?
So I mentioned a little bit earlier that one of the tips that I often share with people is a way of remembering how certain things made you feel. It's called anchoring. And it's so simple that I can teach you it over this podcast. So I'd like to help you learn to anchor something now, and that way the audience can follow along, even if they choose different emotions.
Okay, let's do this.
So I'd like you to think of an emotion that you want to be able to feel on demand. Right? You end up in a situation that makes you feel, we're talking about mental health. So it makes you feel sad, makes you feel really down, maybe even depressed for a moment. And you want to be able to turn that around. Now, the feeling you want may well be different from the feeling I want or the feeling that any of the audience wants. But let's use your example of the feeling for you. So what would that emotion be?
Do you want me to say it?
What would that emotion be?
I'm going to go for peace and calm.
So you'd like peace and calm. They're beautiful emotions because they neutralize so much and they can just allow you to reset. And so what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to close your eyes. And I'd like you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to breathe in for 3 and out for 3. In for 4 and out for 4. And just keep breathing in for 3 and out for 3. Keeping your breath nice and steady. And I want you to recall a time that you felt that peace that you're desiring. That sense of calm. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you feel? Everybody will be able to do at least one of those. Some people will be able to do more. Personally, I feel and I hear rather than see. But in your mind's eye, draw the scene if you can. Allow your internal memory to recall the sounds. Crashing waves on a beach, the wind blowing through the trees, whatever it is. Recall what you felt beyond the peace. Maybe it's temperature. Is it hot, cold? Was there someone else there? Did you feel another presence? And what I want you to do now is I want you to take your dominant hand, so that's the one that you would write with, and I want you to make just a loose fist. And I want you to really concentrate on that scene and that peaceful feeling within you. And I want you to start to tighten the grip in your hand. And breathe in for 3 and out for 3. And each time you breathe in for 3, turn whatever emotions you are experiencing up. If you're seeing things, turn the colors up. Turn the light up. If it sounds, turn the volume up. Just start building and building the positive emotions, the sights and the sounds that you can remember experiencing. Feel the peace grow within you. Notice where that's growing. Maybe it's your stomach. Maybe it's your heart. Maybe it's all over. It doesn't matter. There are no right answers. There are no wrong answers. This is down to you. In for 3 and out for 3. In for 4, tightening that fist, keeping dialing up. Out for 4. In for 4, keep tightening and tightening and tightening. And out for 4. Dialing the dials up, dialing the dials up. And just before you get to as bright, as loud, or as emotive as you can think you can imagine, I want you to squeeze your fist tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. As you're getting to the maximum point of the visions, the sounds, the feelings, the emotions, squeeze the fist as tight as you can. Breathe in for 5. Hold it as long as you can, squeezing as tight and as hard as you can. And then when you can't squeeze anymore, slowly breathe out for 5 and loosen your fist. So that by the time you've finished breathing out for 5, your fist is in roughly its normal position. Maybe that's open, maybe that's slightly closed. Now you've just created an anchor. And now what I want to do is I want to test that anchor with you. Sense of calm, that peace. So to do that, we need to get you thinking of something else. Okay, so you don't have to answer, but I want you to think about what you had for breakfast 4 days ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you can. It's to break the pattern. It's to break the piece that you've built within you while you're doing the anchor. And now we're going to induce a slightly undesirable state. Okay, and we're going to pick one that just about everybody can encounter, because I know you as a pediatrician, you're going to experience some highly stressful states. You know, you're going to have to tell parents things that you don't want to tell them, but not everyone can experience that. However, everyone can experience getting home and finding something not done that you wanted done, whether that's a bedroom tidy, whether that's dinner on the table, whether that's mum there greeting you with a cup of tea, ready for a hug. It doesn't matter. Whatever it was you were expecting hasn't happened. And that's made you feel a little off, a little uncertain, maybe even a little angry, because your child had promised you they'd tidy their room. Your partner had promised you that cup of tea with a hug. The dog had promised not to run around or whatever. Just put yourself in that slightly uncomfortable, slightly annoyed, maybe a little bit angry kind of state. Really imagine it. Feel it deep within your heart. We've all been there. We can all do this. We can all recall that. Because how often when we're telling someone how we're feeling, do we feel those emotions within us? You do this every time. Every time you tell me you're going to give me a cup of tea when I get home, and you don't do it. You can all recall those emotions. Really feel that.
Mm.
And now I want you to just pause for a second. Close your eyes and squeeze your fist as tight as you can. Your same dominant hand, the same hand that you write with. And notice the peace returning and flowing back within you. Particularly around the areas that you noticed it, whether that was your heart, whether that was your head, whether that was all over. Notice it flooding back. That's an anchor for you.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so if you guys didn't do that, rewind, go to somewhere without distractions, and do it. It's going to
Don't
serve
try that
you.
one when you're driving.
Absolutely. Get in a place of safety where you can focus and do it. I think it's an amazing tool to have, to know that you can literally just squeeze your hand and go back to that place of the wanted emotion that you wanted to have, whatever is, whether it's calm or peace, you can do it. It's in the palm of your hands, like figuratively and literally. So, can I just say, Dave, thank you so much for being here. This has been amazing. Last week we talked, or the last episode, we talked about something real similar to this. Actually, we talked about breath work. And when you
Oh
kept
yes,
saying,
I love breath work.
breathe in for 3 and breathe in for fun, like this is a real throwback to the last episode. So if you have not watched the last episode, go back and watch it. And the first episode we covered journaling. That is also another
Both
amazing
of those are techniques I use all the
have.
time.
It looks, they are. I mean, these are things that you use over and over, regardless of who you are, what age you are. They work. Every successful, whoever they are, these are
Exactly.
tools that they use. So, so the fact that you're hearing about them, you're being taught them, you're being equipped with them, please use them. this resource is free, so you can play it over and over again. You can even do more research on them if you want, but these are tools that will help you. So I'm really hoping teenagers, young adults, whoever, that you are being helped, that you're finding these sessions valuable. Now,
Yes.
any last words, Dave?
One thing I'd just love to add is that you've mentioned journaling, you've mentioned breath work. A journal makes a beautiful evidence bag. Okay, it's an evidence book, but it's an evidence bag because it is able to contain all the good and all the positive. And because you are physically writing it, you become emotionally connected with it in a deeper manner, and it will stick.
Mm.
So the fact that you hear these techniques from various people over and over again, or you hear someone like me talking about, yes, I do breath work, yes, I have done journaling, I do journaling. The more you hear people doing things, the more it's worth trying. Look
Mm.
around, find what works for you. Try
Yes,
journaling,
absolutely.
try breath work. Breath work was always very difficult for me because I couldn't breathe. It was part of the problems with cystic fibrosis. But I tried it. Reframing the thought. I did it without even knowing what it was. You've probably done it yourself. Look at these techniques. Look at all the beautiful tools that Ebby helps provide. Use them and work with them, because that will help you as an individual grow, and as you leave your teenage years, be a better adult as well, because you'll have the
Mm.
tools that so many people don't have.
Yes. Wow. Beautifully said. All right. Thank you so much, Dave. This has been amazing. Thanks everyone for watching, for commenting. There are lots of there were lots of parts in this video that I wanted to say. I wish I could show you some love. Where's the hot button? Where's the fire emoji? Because you were giving such good value. So I'm hoping people, you were commenting on the video and you were thanking Dave and telling him how helpful he's been, because I think I found value in this. I'm pretty sure lots and lots of people will.
And if people want to put questions in the comments, tag me. I'm at the Stigma Coach, all one word. I will happily come in and answer those questions. And if there's enough of them, heck, maybe Abby will have me back and we can do some sort of a Q&A.
Yes. Good thinking. And also share, is there a friend who you think will benefit from this? Send it to them. Is there, you think this talk would be great for your school? Let us know. So thanks again, and see you next time on another episode of Mental Health Skills for Teenager. I'm Abia Guinea, your host. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.